Today's discussion will be presented in 4 sections since we're recording it for a radio broadcast on Federal News Network. You're welcome to post questions and comments during the session, and we'll try to answer them online. Enjoy the discussion. Ms. Alecki, thank you very much for joining us today. And I think the place I would like to start is software modernization. I know there is an implementation plan for the software modernization strategy coming fairly soon. And I think kind of the headline from the strategy that we saw back in February or March was, the department wants DevSecOps to be kind of a default behavior for all software development going forward, and a big emphasis on these software factories. First, do you want to revise or extend any of the description that I just gave there of what the overarching goal is? And then more to the point, maybe give us a little bit of an update of where we are in that process of implementing the strategy.
And Jared, first, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about our conversation today, and all of these efforts are obviously near and dear to my heart, not just because it's the exciting thing to do, but it's really going to transform the way we do warfare in the department. Because as you know, right now, contention is across all domains, air, land, sea, space, and especially increasingly in cyberspace and IT and our IT capabilities. So this is timely and it's really imperative. And really what you laid out is right on point, and nothing really has changed other than I think we're making progress in these new grounds that we're breaking to sort of, you mentioned DevSecOps, to make sure that the security, the development and operation are sort of seamlessly integrated to ensure that delivering software to these capabilities is not instantaneous, but someday we will get there, but it's much faster than it used to be to continue to update our capabilities as the threat continues to evolve.
And as the thinking has moved ahead since the initial development of the strategy, have those software factories kind of retained their central role in the way the department's thinking about how you're going to do software going forward? How has that taken shape?
I think we do have an increasing number of software factories, and part of what makes software factories a mystery is really, I think, messaging, because ultimately these are the software factories are actually places where capabilities are already being developed, like airplane or whatever we need for warfare. These capabilities are being developed in these places, and all software factories and the DevSecOps practice does is really accelerate the capabilities that we need to continue to modernize the capabilities that we need. So it's they seem sort of a mystery, but they're really not. They're sort of an evolution of development that we already do. We've been doing software development for many years, and most of our capabilities, as you know, are I call them IT machines. They're very software dependent. So it's just sort of evolutionizing the way we do software. And so I think to your point, it's more the messaging, and it's more as we figure it out how they're structured and how we sort of organize ourselves in this area is really what we are continuing to work on. But it's really honestly not a mystery or something we are like starting right now, because we develop software and have been developing software for a very long time.
So it sounds like a lot of this is really about scaling up what those factories are doing. And also right. The sense I got back when the strategy first came out was the department kind of felt like there were possibly too many factories and they weren't necessarily very well integrated with one another. Is that still kind of the direction you're headed, is to try and tackle those two issues?
And I think that is a fair point. And that's why I think I go back to what I said. It's really not how much, but what mission are we meeting, and what functionality are these software factories fulfilling. And most of the ones that you see are actually very mission specific, whether it's shipboard or airframe related, et cetera. These are mission related. So it's more than number. We want to focus and how we continue when we continue to evolve the processes is that we need to make sure that we're talking about the mission, the functionality, and what these software factories fulfill. So I think the focus needs to go off of numbers and sort of converge to what missions are we fulfilling. And really that's where the focus of some of the implementation plan, the way we're sort of structuring, and really when we put out guidance, et cetera, these things need to be more to the forefront, as you know, for our mission.
And I think part of the idea here was to have this software development sort of rethinking be not just a CIO-led effort, but also have buy-in from the acquisition community, from the research and engineering community. Have those discussions started? And maybe talk us through a little bit what that working relationship has been like as you build toward the implementation plan.
I'm so glad you brought that up because without collaboration amongst the various components of our department, the implementation plan for the software modernization will not work. And when the deputy signed out the software modernization strategy, she actually tasked this to not just the CIO, but the acquisition community as well as the research and engineering community. So it touches on the policy pieces, the acquisition piece, and the workforce, and its upskilling, technical upskilling, all of the above. And not only that, we're working with all of the DoD stakeholders as we develop the baseline implementation plan and are preparing to sort of staff the implementation plan. So that is a critical piece. And also we invite industry and our commercial partners to sort of take part in some of these discussions because it's critical in the community of practices. So it is imperative that this is a partnership among industry, among all of our DoD stakeholders, the acquisition, the workforce, the policy, and also our national partners, our federal partners. And then it even goes further because we're talking tactical edge, our international partners as well. And it's imperative that we walk this as partners or else it's not going to work.
And I think a really key thing about the software modernization strategy is that it also serves as the latest version of the department's cloud strategy. Talk a bit, if you would, about the linkages that you see between everything that we've just been talking about on the DevSecOps and development side and where you're going to put all that stuff in the cloud.
That's right. So I think you sort of hit it right there. Cloud is the enabler. So for us to be able to do all of the things we've outlined in the software modernization strategy, we need the cloud capabilities to enable the quick, the accelerated, the secure platforms and commercial enabled services that we're looking at, and the ability to sort of move at the pace of the threat. That is really the key. Cloud is the enabler. And cloud, I think we talk about sort of the cloud strategy and the software modernization strategy. To me, they're one and the same. Of course, there's clearly cloud-related initiatives and activities that must take place, and I'm sure we'll get to JWCC and cloud enablers, but it is imperative that the cloud is enabling what we're trying to do in modern software and modern software practices. So they're really sort of go hand in hand in the initiatives that we have going.
Yeah, and let's talk a bit about JWCC. Obviously, you've got some limitations on what you can say since it's basically in source selection right now, but still targeting December for those awards, and maybe talk us through whatever you can say about what's been happening over the past several months since the department pushed that award date back?
It's progressing well. Not a lot has changed as far as information that you've already heard about JWCC, which is our multi-vendor, multi-cloud from CONUS to the tactical edge capability at all classification levels, secret, unclassified, secret, top secret. In December 2022 is still the date we're aiming for awards. So, and I can tell you we're progressing well, and we anticipate to meet that date. So it's actually really exciting to have that coming forth, because it's imperative to our ability to do joint old domain command and control, JWCC, as you've heard in many forums. But basically, all of the capabilities that we're talking about, the software modernization and DevSecOps practices, all these things we talk about are going to come to fruition even more as we integrate in this enterprise cloud capability that we've got coming.
And again, realizing there are sensitivities here, are you able to say anything more specifically about what has made this acquisition process complicated enough that it did need to get delayed? Because the department's been pointing to the absence of a enterprise cloud capability as an urgent unmet need for a period of a couple of years now. So why was it worth putting this off a little bit longer?
I think we're not new to doing cloud. The services and different components, just as a service provider, have limited organizational level cloud, even serving on a department level enterprise cloud. So we're not new to that. However, we've also learned over the years that we've been doing cloud that it's imperative that we do our due diligence and we pivot when necessary to make sure that we are going to arrive at something that is going to be that's going to meet the warfighter's need, the stakeholders' need. So I think that's where JWCC and the way we've moved very methodically and wisely and cautiously as we move forward. And there are times where we've had to pivot. Like you said, we moved sort of when we first announced it was going to be awarded. We've moved that date forward, but it was necessary to make sure that we include all possible CSPs. It was necessary to do the right market research, and frankly, it's complicated. It's a complex technical matter as well, as we set up this contract. So I really believe pivoting and sort of taking the right time to get to where we need to get to in the right way is a necessary step, and that's really what the department is doing.
Want to come back and talk a bit more about cloud and a few other things when we come back, but we do need to take a short break here. I'm Jared Serbu, and you're listening to Federal News Network.